A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. Today is 12th March 2020. I am Prashant Mavani. Day is Thursday. On our table, we have one interesting editorial for a level playing field. This one is about election. We are going to analyze this one in detail. Second one is about transparency and judiciary. We are going to talk about right to information as well. Then we are going to talk about economic uncertainty arises. This one is about coronavirus and its impact. We are going to be very brief here because we have already discussed so many things about coronavirus and its impact. Fourth one is fail-safe exit for America but a worry for India. The things that are going on in Afghanistan, why it is a matter of concern for India, mistakes that India has conducted, and we are going to talk about things that are going on in, or you can say, the upper hand of Taliban and the psychological impact on Kashmir and things like that. So, 4 articles in detail. The 3 other articles that you find, like this one, is a pure political article. It's about this political switch that took place in Madhya Pradesh. So, it's based on that. And then you have one editorial. Again, it's on the same thing. Now, this one here, this article is about coronavirus, and as I already told you that we have talked about coronavirus so many times now, so I will reckon you guys to help yourself with this one. Just read it once, and that would be more than enough. So let's move on. Before we move on, I would like to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses. Dear friends, they are designed by best faculties of our country. The quality is top of the range, and with the help of our pen drive and tablet courses, there are thousands of students out there. They have cracked various different competitive exams. You can purchase them from StudyIQ.com. If you have any further question, queries, doubts regarding it, you can give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. To download the PDF of today's lecture, right from now on, I'm going to change things. So I will share the PDF on Telegram channel, and you can follow me on FB for other important updates. Dear friends, please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as hit the notification bell for latest updates. Now, electoral democracy. Our country, right from its inception, when I say inception, I'm talking about modern India, the India that got independence from this British Raj. Right from the starting itself, our constitution has considered each and every citizen of our country as equal, right? If you are rich or poor, if you are coming from upper class, lower class, male, female, transgender, everyone is equal in the eyes of our constitution, in the eyes of our polity. Of course, there is a big or huge difference between what's written in our constitution and the things that are going on, but things are not that bad, to be honest, right? Yes, I'm not saying that our country or this system, political system, is 100% perfect, but we are getting there slowly. We are not that far. If you analyze the things that have taken place in our country from independence till now, then we are definitely, incrementally, we are moving towards good things, isn't it? And if you also analyze other countries, then you will find that India is, today we can safely say that our electoral democracy has strong root in India, and our democracy is a very mature democracy as well. Now, we have to accept the fact that some unhealthy patterns have emerged as far as election is concerned. And we have already talked about this thing earlier on as well, that if you have these 2 things, if you have this combo in our country, when I say combo, I'm talking about 2 things. Like the first one is money. If you have money power, and if you have muscle power, like a sort of if you have a, like, say for example, if you have money as well as if you are a rich goon, basically, let me put it this way. And no offense to other politicians, but being a bit blunt here. So if you are a rich goon, then your chances of winning an election are quite high. And this is a reality. There are so many reports on this thing, and you will observe this thing in your area as well. Right, we have few examples of good people winning elections, but one thing that you have to understand is that these good people, they have a very strong, a very good image, and this image is not out of the blue. They have maintained this image for a very long period of time, and they are genuinely good person, so they are genuinely good people. So this is the main reason why we find a few good examples, but they are very rare, and we have to accept this thing as well, that they are very rare. We have candidates and winners in Assembly and Lok Sabha elections. We find that affluent sections are winning elections, and this is one of the main reasons why political parties are also giving tickets to those affluent people, because elections, right, to fight an election is not easy. It's very expensive affair. You won't believe, but this is a reality. You find these gatherings, these sabhas, in which you find thousands and thousands of people. They are listening to these politicians, but it's not free. When I say it's not free, I mean to say that you have to pay for their fuel expense if they are coming from nearby village. Then you have to pay for their transportation. If they are coming, when they are coming, you have to look after their tea, drinking water, lunch or dinner. There are so many things. Then you have to give a little bit of, you can say, a sort of cash as well in their pocket. Not all the time, but this happens too. So all these things will cost you as much as like a marriage function, isn't it? So it's not that easy. And if you have to conduct, let's say, 15, 20 this sort of sabhas, then it's going to cost you what, 50, 60 lakh rupees, depending on how popular you are and where you are conducting your sabhas. So richer candidates, the chance for their survival, they can give a tough battle. They can fight for a long duration if they have money. If you have money, then your chances will increase, and this is a reality. Now, this election commission is, let me tell you one more thing before we move on to election commission point. So far, we have seen huge amount of reforms as far as our election rules are concerned, and most of them have came from Supreme Court and Election Commission of India. It's very sad that political parties as well as governments, they have done very little to make positive changes as far as election rules and regulations are concerned. Now, Election Commission has said that it is going to regulate social media as well. When you have this 48 hours where you cannot, or 2 days time when you cannot put any sort of advertisements and things like hoardings and other things, you cannot ask that rickshaws to take those loudspeakers and roam around in various different societies. Those things are banned 48 hours prior to election. But controlling social media or regulating is going to be a bit difficult, because just imagine that there is a banner of a particular political party. Now, political party official page will not share this banner. But what about you and I? We can, of course, share it, isn't it? We can keep it as our display picture. You can share it, you can just share it or like it, and then it will display on your page or your Twitter or your Instagram, etc. So regulating social media is a good thing, right? If we can, then yes, we should, but it's going to be a bit difficult. I'm not sure exactly how Election Commission is going to do it. Now, the most interesting part about this editorial is about remote voting system, right? Idea of an Aadhaar-linked remote voting system. And this can be your mains examination question as well, or how to clean or how to decriminalize politics, and then you can add 1 point about remote voting system, or positive points, 1 or 2 positive points about remote voting system, how it can fight this decriminalization and things, how it can fight criminalization, how it can decriminalize our politics. So I'm just giving you some hints. So basically, bottom line is that this particular topic, this remote voting system, is the future and very important. Now, let's do a bit of brainstorming here. I'm going to present some of my points, and then I will leave it on you guys, and I would request you guys as well that you stick your viewpoints in the comment section. So what I think is that, first of all, that remote voting system is possible. Right, the first thing is, yes, it is possible, and we may find some challenges, but with the repairs here and there, we can make it foolproof system. For example, we have this sort of e-vote system, or you can say online vote, or you vote via your mobile phone. In reality shows, there are so many reality shows like dance and voice, like singing shows and Big Boss, etc. I'm not a big fan of all these shows, but I know that you have this voting lines, and then you have to vote, and there are people, they vote as well. So one mobile number, one vote. This is something that is possible. Now, the thing is, nowadays we have this, proliferation of smartphones. And like smartphones are, generally speaking, available everywhere. In every household, you will find one smartphone. Generally speaking, right? Not necessarily. So it becomes easier as well for us to vote, because you have this fingerprint scanner, and you can associate, or you can basically collaborate your mobile number. Of course, it is with Aadhaar card, so you can create a bridge between your Aadhaar, your mobile, your voting card. We can create a data, and then it will create your profile about your vote. And it can be kept secret as well. You can have encryption and other things. You can use a blockchain technology, and there are so many things, right? Technologically, it is possible. So just imagine that you can use your fingerprint scanner on your phone to confirm your identity. To add one more layer, you can use your selfie camera. It can scan your iris. Iris scan can be done. It can check your match your photo, your Aadhaar or voting ID photo with your live face, and these things are possible. And then it can create a sort of strong verification, a foolproof verification that you are the person who is voting here. And you can vote anytime you like. You have this, once you give this bracket, like let's say in a week, or let's say in a month or something, you can vote. If you give 1 month's time, that people can start voting from first this time to this time, then you will have so many chances that you can vote, isn't it? Even if you have power failure in 1 or 2 days or something, then as well you can vote. So these things are achievable. Technology is available, and this will help NRIs as well. They can take active part in our election. If you are traveling somewhere, for those domestic migrants, they can vote as well easily. They can take part. And politicians trying to influence you, they won't be able to do that thing anymore. Yes, in few pockets we may find politicians. They may enter your house. In small villages, this is possible, that they will come to your house and they will ask you to vote. But people can resist this thing as well, that you can persuade, you can do things, you can persuade, you can convince people to vote. But at the end of the day, it will be people's choice. They will vote whoever they think is right for them. So this is possible, right? Now there are questions about hacking, so we can create blockchain, and there are so many safety things that we can do. So I think this is going to be the future. Now these are a few points that I think, let me add some more thing. Security personnel, they don't have to, they can stick with their main job of providing security, rather than traveling here and there for elections. So cost will come down. Security personnel is an angle. Then safety will increase. Corruption will decrease. So these are a few big points. Now I want you guys to think about this topic and stick your answer in the comment section. I want answer from all of you, right? I want a proper brainstorming on this thing. So do take it seriously, right? This can be your mains examination question. Right. Next one is ruling against judicial transparency. This one is about right to information. Now, there's a case that's going on, or a very important case. Supreme Court has regrettably barred citizens from securing access to court records under Right to Information Act. This case is CIC versus High Court of Gujarat case. Now, it is very important that court share its records or documents with public or with people. If someone is seeking an access to this court records, then he or she should get it, because this decisions taken by courts, they influence our daily lives. Every prosecution before a criminal court is essentially an opportunity to hold the police accountable, just as every writ petition is an opportunity to hold the government accountable. Similarly, a significant number of commercial lawsuits are opportunities to learn more about corporations and the manner in which commercial transactions are executed in the country. So importance of sharing records, you have three important points here, 1, 2, 3. And the interesting thing is that in all these cases, the pleadings filed by either party contain realms of information that are useful to a range of stakeholders. Like this, court records can be used by students of law, they can be used by citizens, it can be used by academics, it can be used by shareholders, so that they can take a more informed decision. They know exactly what's going on. And I would say interesting, but in a bad way, or I would say it's strange that the Supreme Court has ignored this fact that judicial proceedings takes place in open court. So anyone can sit in court. Like there are a few cases, like say for example, if a sort of rape trial is going on, then court can keep third parties away from this proceedings, right? For some security as well as for some privacy issues. Court can ask people to stay away from it. But generally speaking, right, anyone can take part in court. They can sit in court, and even you can take notes as well. So not sharing this records is a bit strange here. Then it can promote corruption as well. When you don't share, those people who have deep pockets, right, they will bribe, and then they will get copies of this court records informally. Now, as far as right to information is concerned, we have Section 22 of the Right to Information Act, which states clearly that RTI Act shall override any other law to the extent that the latter is inconsistent with the former. That basically means that if your law is inconsistent with Right to Information Act, then Right to Information Act will have an upper hand. It will override your inconsistent law. And that's what we find here, that despite crystal clear wording of Section 22, the Supreme Court and on previous occasions the High Courts have concluded exactly the opposite. So it's sad that Supreme Court has ignored this Section 22 of the Right to Information Act, which clearly states that if you are passing an order or if your law is against this RTI, then RTI is going to override you. From a citizen's perspective, this decision is problematic for two reasons. First one is, most High Court rules allow only parties to a legal proceedings to access the records of a case. And some High Courts may allow third parties to access court records if they can justify the request. Under RTI, you can state a request, you can pay using this postal order, and you can get information. But now, because of this rule, this verdict, or you can say this judgment of Supreme Court, what will happen is that you have to prove yourself. So first of all, you have to physically file an application with the registry. A hearing before a judge will take place, and that will determine whether a record should be given or not. So it will create more layers and more hurdles, more expensive, more time consuming for courts as well as those people. So this is very sad, and Supreme Court fails to understand this thing, that judiciary's track record of transparency is vastly inferior. We find so many other departments, right? Most of them are under right to information. Like, of course, you have some secret services and other things. You cannot share those data, but most of the items are covered under those logical, rational things. Rationality is there in RTI, so most of your items are covered by, are neatly covered by right to information. But when it comes to transparency and judiciary, we have observed this thing in collegium system as well. When this point was asked to Supreme Court about sharing the minutes or how decisions are taken about appointment of judges, how this collegium system functions and what are the discussions that take place. Supreme Court was very reluctant and kept all those things behind the curtain. And this is not okay for a country like India. We take pride in transparency, in democracy, and checks and balances. Our constitution is also very clear about checks and balances, but when it comes to transparency, like, it cannot be a one-way street, right? If Supreme Court is asking other departments to inculcate transparency, then it should also set an example by making its process or this whole judicial system more transparent. So I hope things are clear. Now let's move on to next item. It's going to be very easy to understand because we have already talked about oil crisis, or when I say crisis, I mean to say this drop in price crisis from Saudi Arabia point of view, not from India's point of view. Now, Manic Monday, it's global share market. We know that this Sensex, we saw a sort of crash, and 5.2% or something, there was a crash in single day. And slowdown, tariff war was going on. Then we have this SARS-CoV-2. And it is also said that Olympics that are going to be held in Japan this summer may be postponed because of this coronavirus, the threat of coronavirus. Travel and trade have been seriously affected because of coronavirus, and China's whole supply chain production line has been affected. And because of this thing, we find that we are not getting enough products in our country, and there are other countries. This whole supply chain of production is under threat. For country like India, we purchase basic as well as raw materials from semi-finished or finished items from electronic items from China, raw material for medicines, automobile parts, components, etc. For our small and cottage sector, China produces multiple items cheaply on a scale that other countries cannot match. Now, there are arguments in our country that we can find domestic producers who can quickly ramp up production, but this is not going to be that easy. China is able to do this thing because the way China works, its culture, its experience, the last 45 years of experience in mass production. Step by step, China has reached here. So, of course, this whole situation is an opportunity for a country like India. We can set up our own domestic production. But that's not going to be that easy, and it's not going to be that quick as well. So, yes, whatever we can do, we should. I'm not saying we should think pessimistically. Yes, we should be optimistic about this situation, but we have to stick with the ground reality as well. The impact on the small producers is likely to be sharper due to the fact that they have small working capital. Now, if production gets affected, that basically means that you will not get that good business or transactions, and you won't be able to service your loans, or you won't be able to pay your installments, and this can create NPAs. This can increase NPAs of the banks and NBFCs, and this will impact our economy as well. Consumer confidence is not that strong at present, and it's very logical to understand that it's a matter of common sense that people save more when the future is uncertain. So even if they have money in their accounts, in their hands, then as well they will not spend at present because future is definitely uncertain, and WHO is also not sure what should be done and how we can, because this is altogether, we are in an uncharted territory. We don't know what will happen next. So all we can do is we can do whatever steps we can, rational steps we can take. We can brace ourselves, and that's the best we can do about it. Now let's talk about the last one of the day. It's going to be interesting as well. Now, the thing is, we know it very well that a peace deal took place between USA and Taliban, and this peace deal, we cannot say that this one is 100% perfect peace deal. The future of Afghanistan is tittering, or it's in uncharted territory. Afghan government is in a weak position. If I can explain this thing with the help of a pyramid or a triangle, then the most powerful party at present is Taliban. USA is not that powerful, and neither is this Afghan government. So Taliban has got a very good deal here, right? It has got a sort of recognition or a sort of a seal stamp from USA. Now, geopolitically disadvantageous for India, this situation is going to be because we have so far invested all our energy in Afghan government, and we thought that Afghan government will get stronger and things will be peaceful in Afghanistan, but it's not like that. Right after this peace deal, within 24 hours, we show that there was a sort of attack on Afghan forces by Taliban. And this deal looks like an honorable exit route for USA. USA is tired and elections are just around the corner. So USA or Trump administration wants to demonstrate this thing that it has achieved victory in Afghanistan, but that's not the ground reality. The Taliban today is also more worldly wise. Taliban is not that Taliban that used to do violence and without thinking anything. It used to be very aggressive. Now Taliban is also playing this game of chess, or it's also playing this game of balance of power. It knows various different points, and there are so many things that it has learned. And today's Taliban does not share the same animus or animosity with New Delhi. The problem with New Delhi, or our mistake, is that we have sticked with this point that we will talk with only legitimate government, and what we find today is Taliban is in a very strong position in Afghanistan, and we have always kept all our eggs in one basket as far as Afghanistan is concerned, and that is Ashraf Ghani's basket. So now tables have turned, and the world is not perfect. We should keep this thing in mind, that a smart diplomacy, smart statecraft would be that we should engage with Taliban, and we should make sure that we don't spoil relationship with these powerful people in Taliban if we want peace in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's what I think, right? We can have a chat with both Afghan government as well as Taliban, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect our whole region. We have lost many friends as well, like Iran was a very close friend, but I don't think so Iran will trust India, because we have stopped purchasing things from Iran, and basically we have tilted towards America, and we have stepped away, or we are departed from Iran. So Iran is not happy with India's stand, and it will not trust India basically. China is already available in Afghanistan. Pakistan, China and Pakistan are good friends. Russia once upon a time was a very good friend of India, but now Russia is also looks like it is with Pakistan, because India is with USA. And Taliban and Kashmir angle is something that we cannot ignore. Psychological impact. See this line here, that if the mighty superpower USA can be defeated by Taliban in Afghanistan with the help from the Pakistan army, defeating Indian forces in Kashmir won't be impossible after that. So this is a very big statement and a big threat, as well as an eye-opener for India. So it's going to have some psychological impact on this Kashmir issue. So return of Taliban is going to impact this whole region, and India should do everything that is possible to make sure that we don't find this, what has happened in Taliban. We don't want to see in what has happened in Afghanistan, what Taliban has done over there. We don't want to see the same thing in Kashmir, right? COVID-19, now a pandemic, says WHO. Jyotiraditya Scindia, now under BJP umbrella. He joins BJP. Suspension of 7 Congress MPs revoked. Role of Lieutenant Governor in government intervened, has been said by Madras High Court. It's about Puducherry. SBI cuts fixed deposit lending rates. Amit Shah allows police for controlling Delhi riots. US diplomats visit cancelled, and UK health minister tests positive for coronavirus. And that's everything in today's discussion. Stick your viewpoints, plus and minus, your pros and cons about e-voting in the comment section. I'm eagerly waiting for your views as well. And thank you very much for your love and support. Do share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and I'll see you soon with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.